I mean, completely
Yeah, you were right,
troubled.
Yovi. E4.
Yeah, and now it's decision time, right? If you go e4, e5, if you try to do the symmetrical approach, Magnus knows how to handle that. And it's a Caro-Kann.
It's the Yovi variation.
It's light square strategy in action. Now, there are ways to shut the game down against this particular opening. I mean, it's a solid approach from white, but this is one of them. Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
panel. That's what I play with white.
Yeah, well, this is not one way to shut the game down. I was expecting some bishop developing, the exchange variation, but instead we have a pan-off. And what is he going to go for? Yeah, okay, nice move there from Dennis. Again, this is a line that hasn't been so well known. So
Yeah, I play both sides of the Caro-Kann also, and I play this with black, and I've never played a6.
yes,
I play the bishop g4 line.
exactly. But the bishop g4 line would have involved a long rook and pawn.
Difficult to
game.
win.
Very difficult to
Yeah.
win. But as it stands here now, okay, plenty of moves. You can bolster that knight with a pawn, but it's way more common to do this move, and you're setting up a trap of knight takes knight. So you
Magnus
have
will
to-
never see it.
Well, you have to do something about that, and the most popular move is to drop the bishop back and maintain that pin. And oh, knight takes knight. What is going to be happening after knight takes knight? Now, knight takes bishop, bishop takes, and
It's the queen sacrifice.
okay, and the king has to go running to avoid the perpetual check. And now this is so dangerous. Magnus knows his stuff. And now the black king is going to have to hide in the corner. And if Magnus doesn't find
It's only
the
a
right
piece
moves,
for a queen, right?
exactly.
Wow.
But okay, there's a lot of play for the piece for the time being. But if this does not work out, then Dennis is going to be up big material.
Wow.
But the main move for black here is to go tuck your king into the corner. It is also possible to move your queen to the right.
Have you had black in this position, Yovi?
I've never touched this one.
Have you played a6?
No, I've never.
Oh, you haven't played a6.
No.
You've analyzed it, but decided not to play it.
I've seen it in action. Most people chicken out. Most people do not want to go into this position as black because it feels very scary.
Yeah, it feels like there's sometimes white has perpetual with d5, bishop e3 check, bishop f4 check. And we can't have a perpetual if we're black because we have to win the game. It's a must-win game.
It is a must-win game, and he does go running with the king to safety, and now white should be just lengthening the dark squares, advancing the d-pawn, and kicking the knight away. You need to keep on playing with momentum here, because if Magnus puts 1 foot wrong, that's it. He's busted.
Black's position looks terrible except for one thing. Black's up a queen. Otherwise, I like everything about white's position.
I mean, there is that factor, but you know, if he manages to get the draw, because a draw is all he needs, he will have done it in style.
Yeah. Sacrificing his queen, going into the sharp variation. Both players seem like they're out of their preparation now, so we're going to see a fighting game where black's trying to get his king safe and get the bishop and rook developed on the king side.
Yeah, and two main moves in this position. You can jump forward with the knight, or you can give a check with a queen. Those are the moves that have been played. But you can see that this is scary stuff for black. You know.
No, in a blitz game, I'm definitely taking white. Probably in a slow game, I would take black. But yeah, of course, the engine says it's about equal.
Yeah, but the engine is actually only saying that it's equal if you come out with the queen to give a check.
Queen a5 check is
Yes,
the best move.
that is the best move. If you move the knight, white is much better, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Yeah, and the whole point is that black's pieces are all fast asleep. So white actually has the time to get the king castle, jump in with the knight, attack the queen, attack the rook, and really start putting the pressure on the black king. And it's really difficult for black to untangle without having to give up material.
Very unusual opening. I'm really glad I haven't seen it before. I'm glad the players decided to play it. Give the crowd something to root for. a queen sacrifice. That's what we haven't seen this match.
Exactly. And we can show why this position is so dangerous for black. Because at the whole point, the queen comes out, this is the best move, and you need to maintain the initiative here. The initiative is so important for white, so you have to make this move. And now the knight must block. Anything else, and that's it. You are busted. And the knight does block. And now here, white can just simply castle. And again, just to highlight, the reason why this position is so dangerous for the black pieces is take a look at all of the starting pieces. The rooks, they are back in their original squares, and they're not going to get out. It's a dangerous path for Dennis to tread. It's a gamble going into this variation. And for Magnus, he's trying to get his crown in style.
I think Magnus knows what he's doing. He played castles relatively quickly.
Yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, how scary is this? You think you've surprised your opponent, and he's just whizzing out all of these moves on theory. Okay, so I'm expecting black to start untangling, start moving the bishop, get the rooks into the game. But also there could be a question, like how are you going to handle like the pushback that's going to be starting? Because black's queen and knight, they're on the same diagonal. So you can just attack with your A-pawn.
A3.
And suddenly there's going to be two pieces for the queen.
Yeah, the black king seems like it's never safe. And white has that dominating position with the bishops in the center. Not only is white dominating the position, except for the queen minus, but white's dominating on the clock. Magnus has 3 extra minutes. So unusual variation from Dennis, but maybe he doesn't know it as well as Magnus does.
No. Well, it looks like Dennis just trying to work things out, but he really does have to tread with care here. He takes the right move, he decides to try to get some development, and the move that I suggested has been played. Questions are being asked of the knight, and that knight cannot deliver.
If black wins this game, Yovi, there's another variation you can play in the Caro-Kann with black. You can start running your king away, taking queen sacrifices. No. You can do it.
No. This one is just too hot to handle. No, don't try this one at home at all. And now bishop takes knight, pawn takes knight. They're both a possibility, but white is soon going to start to recover the lost material.
Yeah, 2 pieces and a pawn for the queen. If white can somehow win the E pawn, white gets a past D pawn, then white's material disadvantage isn't so bad. White's king is safer. Black doesn't have a lot of targets. So very interesting position. Queen sacrifice, the engine says it's about equal. It likes the way the players are playing so far. Unfortunately for Dennis, as we saw in previous games, Dennis has a big time disadvantage. He's going to have to speed up. He can't get in a situation where he has 1 minute and Magnus has 3, and it's complicated. That's going to spell disaster.
Yeah. And for Magnus, though, it's such a gutsy move going into this variation, knowing that, yes, it is a sound, but it's very difficult to play when you sacrifice the queen. But now he does have good choices. He can go bishop takes knight. He can take with the pawn. And again, he can, just start harassing.
I like taking with the bishop because it sort of keeps your bishop on f8. I like taking with the pawn because then I can play bishop e3 check and start harassing the king. So I like them both. But yeah, now if black plays bishop g7 and white plays bishop takes e7, not sure black's up material anymore. White's got that passed pawn. White has a bishop and 2 pawns for a queen. It's getting close.
It's getting close, and he plays the best move. This is the best way to unfurl because you have to get developed, and bishop takes pawn. I'm expecting black to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to grab everything I can. You might as well. And
I misspoke earlier. I said a bishop and 2 pawns. I meant a bishop, a knight, and 2 pawns. Bishop, knight, and 2 pawns for a queen is almost equal. The pawn on d5 is very active, going to d6, d7. White's bishops are very active. Black's king is still a little funny. Black's rook on a8 doesn't have a great square to go to. I'd rather have white in this position.
Well, I always like playing with the queen. So Magnus playing a bit of an unusual move. I was expecting the bishop to go all the way back just so that you could advance the d-pawn when push comes to shove. But now, what is Dennis going to do? Okay, he can't really mobilize any of his pieces. So I'm expecting him to take the pawn, but maybe he can. Maybe he can just throw in his rook to attack the bishop just for good measure.
Yeah, I think if the rook goes to d8, then Magnus will play bishop c7 and then try to get the d-pawn going. I think that's why Magnus played bishop d6. h6 was play kicking the knight away. That seems like a good idea. Knight on g5 seemed pretty active.
Yeah.
Magnus can go to e4 or f3. They both seem good. The knight has some good squares. And he does a third choice, which I didn't expect, knight f7, putting his knight further into Denis's position. Again, it's a really interesting queen sack. The engine says it's about equal, but it's the kind of equal where somebody wins, not the kind of equal where it's a boring draw.
This is far from a boring draw. There's so much excitement here, and most of it coming from Magnus, I gotta say, because this is a really unpleasant task for Denis. How to handle this one? We have the whole point of White's play, which is simply to step aside with the dark squared bishop and start advancing the d-pawn. That is a very simple idea, and it's really effective. Magnus.
Yeah, I used to like being a queen ahead. Now I'm not so sure.
It's not easy to play when you're up material. And there we see Denis wants clarification,
Boy,
but this
engine
is
doesn't like
the
that
wrong move. And now here, Magnus can just simply grab the rook. And Denis relying on this just to clarify things. But what is the answer?
Yeah, Denis wants to take that e-pawn, and then he wants to play rook e8 if Magnus plays rook e1. Magnus trying to find a way to keep his e-pawn on the board. And this is interesting. The engine wants to play b4 to play bishop c5 check and start an attack on Black's king. That's very non-obvious for me because I'm trying to hang on to my e-pawn and get my pawn promoted, and the engine's trying to checkmate Black with b4 bishop c5 check. b4 seems like a really tough move for a human to find.
If he plays that move, if he moves the action to the left, I will personally raise my hat up and I will salute Magnus. What a move if he finds it. I gotta say, it's still super complicated here. You mean advancing the e-pawn is gonna cost the knight. That requires some calculation. And it's not really that easy to do or make any progress. I mean, the most natural move is to get your rook behind the passed pawn. But like you say, Black is going to start also harassing that pawn.
It's funny, White can play e7 here, and after queen takes f7, we have bishop c5 check, and the rook's coming into d7 or d8, and White's actually winning in this position.
He finds it, Ben. He finds the right
b4.
move.
That was the best move.
That was the best move. I raise my hat. I salute the world number one, Magnus Carlsen. He finds the best move. And why is this so good? Because it looks like you can take the pawn, Ben.
Yeah, if Black takes the pawn on e6, then White plays bishop c5 check, and Black's king comes under fire. Material is about equal, but White has the initiative. Black's rook is bad. Black's king is bad. Magnus is Magnus for a reason. He finds moves like b4. And now the engine says Magnus is winning with the attack, and the material situation is about level now.
Yeah.
The engine actually doesn't take the pawn on e6. It says bishop c5 check is too strong, but it says that Magnus is winning in any case. The attack on Black's king is too good. Lazovic has 3 minutes less on the clock, something I was worried about a few minutes ago. Lazovic with 1.5 minutes on the clock. Magnus has 4.5 minutes. Magnus winning on the board. It looks like Magnus is going to have a clean sweep.
Beautiful. Beautiful play there from the world number one. Look at the way that Magnus courageously went for this one, sacrificing his queen, and Denis understanding that the bishop check would have been disastrous. Well, he decides to put his rook there, getting ready to sacrifice the piece in order to cling on. But Magnus now, he can just play simple chess. He can just move his rook behind the pawn, and it is all about the coordination. Just beautiful play here from Magnus Carlsen, entertaining us in style. I mean, what a showman. I mean, they saved the best.
A must-draw game, and he sacrifices his queen in the opening, outplays his opponent, and now it looks like he's well on his way to victory.
Yeah, on the cusp of winning. And that means that he will be the 2026 EWC champion, and throws in a check. And here it's going to be all about the e-pawn. Nothing to be done. And Magnus knows it. Magnus Carlsen
Wow, what a
is
game.
the winner. What a game. The king stays the king, and Magnus Carlsen is 2026 EWC Chess